Welcome to the EOB Podcast, where we talk about the weekend box office and the new openings this week. I'm Benno, and joining me is Sen Duong. So Sen, hey, welcome back.
Thanks.
Okay, so last weekend we have three new wide releases. The Power Rangers movie is a reboot. The sci-fi movie Life with Jake Gyllenhaal and Ryan Reynolds, and the big screen adaptation of that TV show, Chips.
Yeah.
I think all in all, we were kind of wrong on that
All three of
Power
them?
Rangers movie.
All of them?
No, I think for Life we're pretty good.
Okay.
For Chips, I think you're about right there, but we were both wrong on Power Rangers.
Oh, okay. I think most people were slightly off on Power Rangers.
Yeah, and well, it's because it has been so long since the last movie, and
the last movie didn't do that well. I mean,
the previous movies didn't do that well, mainly because it's just a cash grab. They didn't really put any real money in it to make it good.
I mean, it was okay back in the day. I don't think the technology was there back then because essentially it's a Transformers movie. And I remember looking at the effects back then. It didn't look that good when they were, transforming into this big giant robot. And I think a lot of it is just one of those things where the technology just wasn't there yet.
All right. Okay, I'm going to have to stop you there. Save that for when we talk about the movie. Okay, so how about we jump right into the box office, right?
Okay.
Okay, all right. We expected this, right? Coming in number one, Beauty and the Beast, it repeated with 88 million over the weekend. Domestic gross after 2 weeks is 316 million. The movie opened to 174 million, which is record-breaking, biggest opening in March, etc., etc., etc. Just went down the list, and it held up quite well.
Yeah, it held up really well. I mean, when the drop-off is less than 50% for a movie that opened this huge, it's really good. I mean, films that open in this range tend to drop off in the 60% range. And when you're dropping off below 50%, it's very good.
Yeah, I mean, it might be at the level where, kind of like Frozen, right? People are maybe watching it multiple times.
I'm not too sure. I mean, this is obviously a lot bigger than Frozen. I wouldn't say the same thing. Because Frozen was one of those films that didn't open super huge like this. This is record-breaking, kind of huge. Frozen was just one of those films that opened well and kind of caught on by word of mouth, and week after week it did really well. The drop off was pretty low, and eventually made over 400 million. But Beauty and the Beast, after 2 weeks has already grossed 317 million. So in another week you'll pass 400 million.
Which is crazy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. Man, you're talking about the domestic box office, and usually a movie takes quite a while, a couple of weeks, like these huge movies to reach 400 million, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, usually a lot of movies don't get to 400 million.
Yeah, true. No.
Yeah, so Beauty and the Beast, there's no specific one reason for it. It's kind of hard to say. I mean, like we mentioned, I was saying how, hey, this is probably their biggest live action adaptation so far. Even then, my estimates weren't that high. Most people's estimates weren't that high. Well, some were closer. The reviews were solid. They weren't spectacular. They weren't in the 90% range. It was mid 70% range, 75%. Maybe it's just one of those films that capture the magic of the original film.
Yeah. Well, like I said, this movie, looks like the animation coming to life, and it's just that good, right? I mean, you can nitpick here and there, but all in all, I say the movie looks, very good. And people might question the casting choice, right? Emma Watson.
I mean, I heard a little bit about it. I see some people on Twitter posting figurine pictures of Emma Watson as Belle and saying that it didn't look that good. So were people saying that she doesn't look good enough for the role, or what's the deal? Because you mentioned it a couple of times. What was the controversy over the casting choice?
I don't know what the controversy. I'm just assuming that there was a controversy.
Oh.
I'm just saying, with everything, right? People are gonna question the choices because, they have their own in their own mind who they want for the role or how they look, what kind of person they're looking for the role. Just starting with me, I mean, I don't think she is a good choice, right? But it worked out well. I'm just saying, compare her to what people have known her, in the animation, she doesn't look like Belle.
Was this just based on your opinion or?
Yeah, mostly based on my opinion, but
Okay.
I'm sure that other people held this as well.
Well, I mean, I saw a couple Twitter posts saying how they couldn't make Emma Watson figurine. They commented how it didn't look very good, and so I was thinking maybe the controversy was that she, like you said, she doesn't look good enough for the role or something. But my
No. It's just that once you have an animation turn into a live action, there's always going to be these controversial thing about, I mean, that person not looking the part. Okay, I mean, we will get to that, but it's also there's this thing with Ghost in the Shell as well. But we'll get to that.
well, I mean, yeah, the thing with Emma Thompson is
Watson.
yeah, Emma Watson. I
Always
keep on saying
confuse
Thompson.
that.
Yeah, Emma Watson is I can see how people might say that she doesn't look the role because she still seems like, to me, even after Harry Potter, she still seems a little bit too young. She still seems a little bit too girly. If people were having problems with her as a choice to play Belle, that would be my only thing. She's to me she looks very too young for the role.
Oh well, I mean, a lot of that has to be with you recently seeing her in Harry Potter.
Yeah. Well, I seen pictures of her outside of Harry Potter, and she still does seem very young.
Because she is,
Yeah.
because she is very young. But I think a lot of the influences, like, I mean, if they pull a completely unknown that looks like her, you say, okay, whatever, right? But I mean, a lot of people sort of grew up with her, right? I mean, you watch her grow up through the various, like,
Oh,
seven
okay,
or
right, the
eight
Harry Potter
Potter
movies, right?
movies.
And people have a certain image of her, and they don't see her as Belle, I guess, right?
Right.
Okay, all
Right.
right, okay.
Or as one of the a romantic lead. That's what typecasting will do for you. Once they see you as that person, you are that person, right?
Yeah.
It'll take her a while to be accepted into other roles. And with Beauty and the Beast, I mean, despite her or in spite of her, it did quite well.
Yeah, or because of her, it did quite well.
I
Who
don't.
knows?
Yeah, I like I say, this movie is kind of like foolproof. You can cast anyone in as Belle and it'll do well.
I don't know about that. It could be or it could not be because when you look at these adaptations, a lot of them, even the recently successful ones like Cinderella, they all cast people who are actually well known. So you don't know until you do a movie without one of these big stars, and then it bombs or disappoints.
Well, what I'm saying is that people paying to see Emma Watson is not in people's calculus to watch this movie or not. Yeah, I don't think it plays a huge factor. I'm gonna skip out Beauty and the Beast because Emma Watson's not in it, for example. Well, that's just my feeling.
It's
That's just my
star
feeling.
power. It's star power. We don't know until one of these things bomb. Kind of like when they try to remake that Charlton Heston movie. What is it?
Oh, Ben-Hur, yeah,
Yeah, Ben-Hur. When they try to remake Ben-Hur, it completely bombed. That's when you're like, yeah, you need a star. You need someone who has the kind of charisma and screen presence as Charlton Heston, not just some random no-namer. And when it bombs, you're like, okay, you need it. But when it doesn't bomb, when it does well, you're like, oh yeah, these stars they're not necessary.
Okay, well, I'm gonna pull a Lloyd Benson on you. Okay.
Okay.
I know Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast is a friend of mine, and Ben-Hur, you are no Beauty and the Beast. That's all I'm gonna say.
All right, let's move on. It's doing really really well, and it looks like it's one of those movies that will probably do 500-600 million.
I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah, and the worldwide figure is already at nearly 700 million.
Yeah, and another thing I'm surprised is that I'm happy to see that, hey, it's a movie that grows so much. It's not another superhero movie.
Yeah, that's true. But now it's in the Disney live action adaptation of animated classics canon.
Right, which is good. I mean, I'm saying
Yeah.
having diversity is very good. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't want
right.
really, and it serves no one any good to have the cinemas dominated by superheroes, world destruction, just
Right,
battle, endless battles.
yeah,
Right,
yeah, right.
All right. And speaking of
Adaptations.
world destruction, yeah, adaptations, world destruction, endless battles.
Yeah.
Number 2, Power Rangers. Okay, it surprised, I think, everybody, and probably Lionsgate especially, put in 40 million over the weekend. We both weren't very high on the movie. You hired me. You said it would probably do 20, and I say 15. And I say mainly because, hey, I don't know. It's the brand still as strong, but the movie looked great. Okay, they threw money in this, and it paid off.
Yeah, they did 100 million. That's a lot more than I was expecting them to throw at it. But you know what? They took the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles approach. If you're gonna reboot an 80s brand product, for once throw in a lot of money on it. They did, and it is working out.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, right? Because they made a second movie that didn't do as well.
Yeah. The first movie they threw, I'm surprised they actually threw in 160 million or something at the first.
Yeah, because Michael Bay was involved. He's not gonna go cheap. He's not gonna go cheap for his movies.
Yeah, right. And for the first film it paid off, but the second film, it seems like people have their nostalgia for the turtles, satiated by the first film and didn't want to see any more.
Right. I mean, how many? I guess.
Or maybe people just got turtle out. Or sequel out.
maybe. But again, the second movie has a lot of things against it, mainly because I think Michael Bay wasn't directing.
Well, he didn't direct the first one either, though.
Oh, that's true. But he wasn't that involved in the second movie, right?
I'm not sure. He was just listed as a producer.
Well, just coming back to Power Rangers again. I mean, we see the same drop off when they made the second movie, and they obviously will. After this opening.
We'll have to see. The budget is pretty high, 100 million. We're gonna have to see how front-loaded it is, because it could be very front-loaded. If it's not front-loaded and it makes back 100 million domestically, then hey, we might see sequels. But we'll have to see how it does next weekend.
All right, and Power Rangers, as you said, is targeted toward the younger group, kids instead of teenagers.
Right.
So I guess Power Rangers surprise. The question is, will it continue to surprise with the second weekend?
Right.
As you say, will it be front loaded or not? And I suspect it is front loaded.
Right.
But we'll see. All right. So let's move along to number 3, Kong Skull Island. It pulled in about 14.4 million. It's still holding up quite well. Drop off is about 48%. Domestic gross is 133 million. Worldwide for Kong is 392.
Yeah, even at a budget of 185 million, they're reaching profitability. So
and like we said, they went to a more I guess popcorn movie-ish. Route instead of like you say, Beauty and the Beast story. They go with out action.
Right. Although it looks like it won't. It's not gonna do as well as Peter Jackson's King Kong, domestically at least. But it'll probably make up for in the international market.
Right. If you haven't heard, they're moving on with the sequel, and they're going big. They're getting King Kong together with Godzilla.
Right.
They're going for the big card, the main event.
Yeah, right. So that should be good.
And hopefully they have a real fight, not just
right.
Oh, they're gonna exchange blows and then become friends and.
And then King Kong probably had a shoulder injury that needs surgery, and once he repairs his shoulder, then we'll have a fair fight.
Okay, right. Keep up the drama. Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's move along to number 4. Life, that sci-fi horror movie starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Ryan Reynolds. It's a sort of like Aliens in space, right?
Yeah, despite decent reviews, 66% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is not bad for this kind of movie. It opened to Jake Gyllenhaal numbers, which is the 12.6 million, 10 to 15 million range.
Yeah, you were right. You say 12 to 15, and I threw my chips in with your estimates and saying 13 million.
Wow, you were right there.
Yeah, mainly because, hey, it's Ryan Reynolds and Jake Gyllenhaal, 2 guys who are known to, open to these numbers, right?
Yeah.
And the only movie that Ryan Reynolds that opened huge is when he covers his face.
Right.
So there. There goes. Another data point in, I guess, Jake Gyllenhaal, Ryan Reynolds movies.
Yeah, right. But the budget is not too high. It's for this kind of movie, kind of modestly budgeted at 58 million. And even if they lose money, they probably won't lose that much, and they'll probably end up making it back through home video.
Right. Even though Jake Gyllenhaal, right,
Mhm.
open to these numbers, and he's still making movies. The reason because hey, he's making money on videos.
Well, I mean, if you budget his movies accordingly, I mean, he is consistent. Every movie he comes out with will open in the 10 to 15 million range. So if you budget it accordingly, you can make money.
All right. And another thing about his movies is surprisingly leggy.
Yeah, they are surprisingly leggy. Yeah.
So hey, there it goes. You I guess we'll see life linger in theaters because hey, it's one of these. Well, if you want aliens, that's not aliens. There you go.
Right.
Okay, let's move along to number 5, which is Logan.
Mhm.
It pulled in about 10 million over the weekend. Domestic gross is 201 so far. Worldwide is 565 million.
At a budget of almost 100 million. Nothing more we can say about it other than it's going out with a bang.
Yep, going out with bang. Hugh Jackman's probably final standalone Wolverine movie, but as you said, he is interested in coming back to have cameos in other movies.
Yeah, either Deadpool or the Marvel films.
Right, so it's not the last of Wolverine we'll see, of him,
Mhm.
as Wolverine, but standalone probably final.
Right. I have a feeling he might pop up in one of the Deadpool movies.
Okay, sure. I mean, why not? I mean, since they have a bigger budget,
Yeah.
they can pay him.
Yeah. Yep.
They can pay real X-Men now.
Yeah. Yep.
To appear in the movie.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. Moving along to number 6 is the I guess social horror movie Get Out. As the director Jordan Peele describes it.
Mhm.
Pulled in about 8.7 million over the weekend. Continue to hold out strong with only a 35% drop off from the previous weekend. Domestic gross is 147 million. Worldwide right now it's 154 million. So it's not that wide outside of the States yet.
Yeah.
But it made back many times its budget.
Yeah. It's already at nearly 150 million. Jeez. I wonder if it can eventually go on and be leggy enough to hit 200 million. Probably not.
Oh, that's gonna be tough. That's gonna be tough unless there is another event in the news that make people to go out and watch this movie again.
Right. So we'll probably top off at around 180.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
A film that's budgeted at just 4.5 million.
I mean, yeah, once in a while we get to see these low budget movies that come out of nowhere and went on to make huge numbers at the box office.
Yeah, right.
And no one expected it was Get Out, and of course it always comes out of the blue, right?
Yeah. I mean, at first it was Split. We're like, whoa, Split! Oh my goodness, Split! And now it's like Get Out. So we have 2 this season. This young season.
Well, I mean, with Split, you can kind of see the potential, right? Because hey, it is M. Night Shyamalan. His movie has like a puncher's chance always
Right.
of surprising at the box office. But this movie is by Jordan Peele.
Yeah, he's known for Key and Peele, sketch comedy series on TV, and he directed a horror thriller movie, and it turned out really well. Turned out to be really well reviewed, and the sleeper hit of the season.
Oh, right, and I don't want us or anyone to get too ahead, right? I mean, Jordan Peele's next movie could bomb.
True.
Right. And this is such a special case right here.
Yeah.
Right? So we wouldn't expect him to repeat with his next one.
Right. Or he could.
Okay.
Who knows?
Or he could. But the thing is that more likely than not, he won't. Right.
We shall see.
Okay. All right. That's the thing here. This movie got his name out there.
Yeah.
People are looking out for it to see if he has another one in him, or 2 or 3 or more.
Right. Hey, maybe he created a very successful comedy show, and now he's created a very successful horror thriller film. It seems like as long as you give him control, he'll get the job done.
That's true. I mean, 4.5 million or 5 million to round it out is pocket change, really. I mean, studio should really, just, hey, I have 5 million. who wants to make a movie for us? We'll give you control, and look at the return. I mean, even if they flame out on a lot, as long as they hit one with a Get Out, they can make it all back.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. I'm not a studio exec, so I could probably bankrupt the company just as well as the current execs are doing. All right. Moving along to number 7 is the other new release, wide release of the weekend. The big screen adaptation of the TV show Chips. Pulled in 6.7 million.
Wait, 6.7 or 7.6?
Okay. I got a little dyslexic there. 7.6 million. You were right. Your estimates were closer than mine. I said it could open to 15 million, and you said 8 to 10.
Oh, okay.
And I should have known. That anything that Dax Shepard touches usually don't turn out that well.
Yeah, but budget's relatively low, so they'll probably make their money back on home video. But we won't see a part 2.
Oh, yeah, it's not the 21 Jump Street that they're hoping for, right? That one did really well.
Yeah.
And they try to strike again with Chips, another TV show that they try to make into a series.
Yeah.
And, well, like I said, Dax Shepard, I guess his brand of comedy is not well received at the box office.
Well, it's just one of these things where it didn't have to be Chips. It could have been any movie.
Especially with Dax Shepard. I have to add that in there,
Yeah.
okay? It's another person, you see his name, you probably want to run the opposite direction. And that's what people did.
All right.
Okay. All right, moving along to number 8 is The Shack, the faith-based movie that's based on a book. Pulled in 3.8 million, 37% drop-off. Getting nearing 50 million domestic. So what else to say about there?
Yeah, just chugging along, and another successful faith-based film.
Yes, and the thing we're seeing with these faith-based film is that we're seeing real money being poured into these movies, and they're looking good.
Yeah, real money and real stars.
Right, money comes with stars,
Yeah,
right? You can pay stars.
Yeah.
Right. Again, it proves that this genre is here to stay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, number 9 is the Lego Batman movie. It's pulled in about 1.9 million over the weekend. Highest drop off of 57%. Mainly because of the Power Ranger movie, I think. I think it draws from the same crowd.
Power Rangers, Beauty and the Beast, the family audience, boys.
Right.
Yeah.
Mainly younger audience,
Yeah.
right? So that's why the drop off is so high for the Lego Batman movie. The domestic gross is 170 million. Worldwide is at 292. So hey, budget's 80 million. As we said, even though it's not as didn't gross as much as the Lego movie, it's still pretty successful in its own right.
And as long as they keep their budget within the 80 million range, they're gonna make huge profits.
Yep, and I think that's what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
Okay, let's round out the top 10 with the Belko Experiment. It pulled in about 1.8 million. Second weekend drop off is 56%. Domestic gross is 7.6 million. Budget's 5. So you could say a minor blip in the Blumhouse production. He's the horror guy, Jason Blum.
Yeah.
Not a huge hit, but hey, he's doing stuff with movies in the 5 million range, and this one might not turn out as well, but hey, it could probably do well on home video.
Yep. Let me see. We last week we also talked about Slamma Jamma, right?
Yeah, it said it was released wide, but it's not that wide. I mean, it's only released in 502 theaters.
Yeah.
Last we look at it, they say it's open in over 1,000 theaters, but I guess that wasn't true.
The per theater average is 3,000, which is kind of not that great. So didn't make much of an impression.
Based on the 1,000 theaters plus opening, we estimate around 3 for me, 5 million for you, and I guess considering it did about, if you multiply the theater numbers by 2, it did around 3.
Yeah.
3 million.
Right.
Yeah.
So all in all, we weren't too bad about last weekend's predictions. It's just we were kind of off on Power Rangers.
which is always good. I mean, it makes us look like we know what we're talking about. And I guess Power Rangers is one of these things where the studio took a chance because it's a well-known brand.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on how big of a brand. I mean, we weren't aware that kids are still into Power Rangers. So there you go. Again, I guess the thing to see is if it can hold on and if it has a couple more movies within it, because as we've seen with the live action, right, live action CGI's Teenage Mutant Ninja movies. The first movie did really well. Second movie, not so much.
Yeah. All right. Should we move on to this weekend's new films?
Yes. Okay. Sure. All right. So we have two new wide releases this weekend. We have Ghost in the Shell, which is obviously the bigger movie, and then maybe right. And then there is The Boss Baby. Ghost in the Shell is that this live action adaptation of that Japanese anime, starring Scarlett Johansson and directed by Rupert Sanders. And The Boss Baby is by DreamWorks.
Mm-hmm. Which one do you want to go take first?
How about Ghost in the Shell?
Sure.
Okay, so Ghost in the Shell. It's a sci-fi action movie. If this movie looks like a lot of the past movies like Matrix, if it looks like Blade Runners and others, you could say those movies take their influences from this movie.
Yeah. Wait,
I mean, not from this movie, but from this, the anime.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, what's that other iconic anime? The cyberpunk genre. The name escapes me.
I know Akira, right?
Yeah, Akira is, kind of like that.
Yeah.
Those movies take their influences from this one, and Ghost in the Shell is one of those, all these sci-fi action movie that takes their influence from.
I think Ghost in the Shell, the Matrix actually took a lot of its ideas from this.
Right.
Like plugging people in and the whole thing about their reality, what's been fed to them. So a lot of that central idea was taken pretty much straight from Ghost in the Shell. I mean, I think after the Matrix, I rewatched Ghost in the Shell. I'm like, wow, a lot of the central themes are taken straight out of the film.
Yeah, sure. I mean, another recent example is Pacific Rim, right? If you watch any giant robot anime, it's there.
Yeah.
So you could say, even though like Ghost in the Shell is came out in 2017, a lot of the past sci-fi movies that you probably watched took the influences from this the anime.
Yeah. So I think we heard enough about the whole whitewashing of
in general, people don't care, right? Audience don't care who's in it. I mean, not who's in it, or whitewashing or not. Okay, they just want to watch a good movie.
Well, I mean, don't have enough time to get into all of that stuff, but it's one of those things where they wanted to spend a lot of money on this, and they would rather cast someone who's well known and who can guarantee them a decent opening. And so they ended up casting Scarlett Johansson instead of an Asian actress.
Here's the thing: if I'm in the person responsible for this movie, I would have done the same.
I don't know.
No, I would have done the same because here's the thing: how you get if you're into this social justice thing, whatever, like casting Asian actors in Asian roles, the thing you need to do really is to go to support those movies with Asian actors in it. All right, you show studios there's money to be made involved with Asian actors. They'll make movies with Asian actors. There you go, right? So that's how you turn the table on this thing. How you just show them the money. And I would.
Well, it's a chicken. It's a chicken and egg thing, though. The thing is, if they don't have enough roles for them, how are we gonna go and support them when there aren't enough films featuring Asian actors? So it's a chicken and egg thing, and because there aren't enough roles for them, there's not enough experience and practice. So, and because of that, how are they gonna eventually get the support that they need to rise up to the top when there just aren't enough roles for them, and when a film like this, a big, huge brand like Ghost in the Shell like this comes out, and the central character in the original product is for an Asian person, and you don't cast an Asian person in that role. I mean, eventually, how are these actors gonna get a chance to rise to the top?
Well, okay. Well, no, I'm just saying. First, show that there is a market, people who want to watch. Okay, support those Chinese movies that's being imported. Support those movies that are imported from Hong Kong. Show that there is more at the box office than a couple million here and there. It's just like what the like African American group is. Like they rush out to watch the movie. Show that there's a market.
Yeah, but you gotta hit it from all sides. You can't just say, hey, just show support for whatever
No,
mostly on. You just gotta be like, hey, you gotta show support and you gotta have votes for them.
yeah, sure. I mean, it's a multi-pronged approach, right? But
Yeah.
the first thing you gotta do is like you gotta show studios the money. There's a market for this, right? As for casting Scarlett Johansson, I rationalize this as, hey, they're doing a English language remake of the thing, right? Just like what The Departed did for that Hong Kong movie.
Yeah, Infernal Affairs. Yeah.
Yeah, Infernal Affairs, right? That's what I'm saying. It's like they're just doing a recast, making it localize it for the audience. It doesn't have to be. I mean, they could do a Ghost in the Shell movie, and they did live action probably, for Japan, for the Asian audience. They could do that as well and cast Asian actors in it. But I'm sure they probably wouldn't do as well.
We all know why they cast Scarlett Johansson. It's just they needed a star to anchor this. We all know why they cast her. The only thing is, could they have cast another actress and and still have this film do well? But we don't know that unless they give someone a chance. And the thing is, they don't even give them a chance. If they put their money behind it and they support the film, they support the talent behind it. These films can't do well. But obviously, we know exactly why they cast Scarlett Johansson is for bankability.
Sure, as I said, I completely understand all the arguments and agree with both sides. Okay, but I think, look. Okay, with all the thing is like let's start with the low budget films, right? 5 million is not a lot, in relatively speaking, to make a film. They could start with these small budget films and see if there's a market for that. Ask people to go and support it if they want to see all of these people with different ethnicities in it. That's all it comes down to.
I mean, Asians only make up like what 5% of the population in the U.S. So does that mean that hey, you can never cast an Asian in a leading role just because you're Asian and you only make up 5% of the population? Doesn't mean that you should never be able to star in be the leading star in a film though. If you look at it that way, they should. It's like anyone should be given the chance to, if they have that talent, to rise up to the top and take the leading role.
Look.
I mean,
Completely different argument. Okay, I'm just saying. I agree. People should have a chance to.
So when you have a film,
but
like this that is specifically taken from an IP that's supposed to be starring an Asian person.
It's not supposed to star an Asian person out. Like I say, I'm seeing this as an English language remake, kind of like I said before, like Infernal Affairs being remade as The Departed here.
That makes sense though, because the original live action film stars mostly Asian actors. So they don't have to remake it. If they're going to remake it specifically for this market, cast American actors. But this one
and they did.
Is this the first time they did a live action version of this property?
I don't think so. Let me do a quick look. I know they have numerous animated movies.
Yeah, but I mean live action
films. Let me see. Okay, probably not. I think the other films are animation.
Yeah, so this is the first time they did a live action version of the anime.
No, well, like I say, Japan could go out and do their own live action. That's what I'm saying. Nothing stopping them. I see this as kind of like an English language, movie for the domestic audience. Someone with global appeal. Like I say, if I'm in their place, I would do the same.
They'll probably go on forever.
Sure. That's the debate here, right? But in regards to the movie, Scarlett Johansson beat Takashi Kitano, right? Juliette Binoche and Michael Pitt. But obviously the headliner here is Scarlett Johansson because she's the lead. As we were saying, you've seen these bits and pieces in other movies as well because they took their influences from this movie. We said that, hey, there's a controversy surrounding casting Scarlett Johansson, but with the exception of Lucy, that Luc Besson action movie, her in a leading role doesn't really lead to good box office.
Well, it depends though, because she does mostly indie movies when she's not doing the Marvel movies. So those, on big box office or expected to have big box office. But it seems like when you put her in like action movie, like Lucy, for instance, it does really well. And this is another action movie. And, there aren't many actresses who can headline an action movie nowadays anymore, because there's already Mila Jovovich with the Resident Evil films is already, well, domestic anyway, has already reached its peak, and same thing with the Underworld films. And then, there's also Angelina Jolie, and she's more into directing now instead of starring in movies. So she's like the only person to take the mantle from Angelina Jolie, who can, make action movies that can gross, up to 100 million at the box office.
Yeah, another point in her favor is that, hey, people know her as, Black Widow from the Avengers, right? And they've seen her in these action movies. She fits action movies like a glove now, right? Because people are more used to her in these kind of roles.
Yeah, right. So what kind of number are you going to throw at this?
Well, it's kind of strange. Right? I'm not going to compare. Well, I'm just throwing another point out there for comparison, right? Remember that movie, Aeon Flux?
Yeah, Aeon Flux, yeah.
Yeah, Aeon Flux with
Charlize Theron.
Yeah, Charlize Theron. It's a similar movie.
Yeah, except that's like Aeon Flux completely tanked.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Charlize Theron, I don't think she has that like same regard as an action star as Scarlett Johansson though.
Right. Okay, and I gotta say, right? I mean, Scarlett Johansson in that bodysuit is gonna sell a lot of tickets.
Yeah.
But as to how big this movie is, and how well known Ghost in the Shell is, I'm sure there are a lot of fans of Ghost in the Shell. It's one of the
classic animes. But you don't know if that's the thing. It's one of these. It's more of a Ghost in the Shell in the U.S. is more of a cult classic. It's not something that's super mainstream.
Yeah, no, it's one of these movies that is kind of like other movies draw from, right?
Yeah.
But then once they make the movie out, it's like, oh, I've seen that in these other movies.
Right.
It's not new to them. But the thing is, like, all these movies get their influences from, like something like Ghost in the Shell.
Right. And the main thing with Ghost in the Shell is the whole thing with how, what's real, what's reality, and what is just fed into me. The whole thing has been already taken by the Matrix. Now, there's no longer a huge selling point anymore. So now it's just that whole world and this whole action sci-fi world that we're going to be thrown into. And again, it's one of these Eastern Western mixes. It seems like in the film there's a lot of Japanese culture and things that are lifted from the anime, and then there's that whole casting of all these Hollywood actors and actresses being thrown into an Asian environment fits.
Okay, yeah. And another theme that's touched upon in the movie is artificial intelligence, right?
Yeah.
I mean, robots gaining consciousness.
Yeah.
It's like, what is life? That's one of the central questions of the movie as well.
Mm-hmm.
Casting aside, I mean, I don't think this has a big effect on the box office, this controversy anyway. Really, the big draw here is the Ghost in the Shell brand and the special effects.
Scarlett Johansson in an action movie.
Right. No. Yeah, Scarlett Johansson. That is the special effects,
Yeah.
right? Like I say, that's gonna sell a lot of tickets. But how much?
And obviously, and in the posters, they try to make her look like Black Widow too. So
it's not an accident that she's cast in this movie. It's because, like, hey, someone who can take the mantle, like you said, who can anchor an action movie. Outside of Angelina Jolie, I mean, those other actresses of the previous generation are getting up there in age, right?
Yeah.
So there you go, Scarlett Johansson as the new action star.
Yeah, female action star.
Yeah. Lucy opened to 43 million.
Yeah.
Right, and that is just like an original Luc Besson creation.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to gauge.
Okay, I'm gonna throw out a number there. I'm just totally guessing on my part.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go with 60 million.
Whoa, you're going that high?
I'm going high.
Oh, I'm just gonna go with like 25 to 30.
I think you're underselling, that bodysuit, Zen.
I probably am, but it's another one of those weird Eastern Western things where they try to take the two and mash it together, and I'm not sure how well it mixes. Like this one, like let's say the Great Wall, I feel like they kind of try to, they threw Matt Damon in there, and I feel a little bit of the same thing in here, except it's the reverse. Is they're trying to throw in a Western, and instead of doing it one way or the other, let's say the Great Wall, if they just had casted just Asian actors, or in this one, or
No, well, let me stop you right there,
Mhm.
okay? I think one of the reasons with Great Wall and Asian actors is because they're not acting in their, natural language.
yeah, that's the thing.
There's this disconnect. It's like seeing, it's just like seeing these Hong Kong movies, right? They would, some guy would talk in Cantonese, the other guy would talk into whatever languages, and they would completely understand each other.
Yeah.
It's kinda like that. They don't even try.
Well,
But
yeah,
there's this unnaturalness.
Actually, you captured it right. What I meant to say was that this is kind of like the other side of the Great Wall. In the Great Wall, they got all these Asian actors who are trying to speak English. In Ghost in the Shell, they did it the opposite approach. They have the Asian setting, but they have all these Western actors, and they speaking English. So it's kind of like the other side of it. The first side is they try to get all these Asian actors to speak English when it's not their native tongue. And this one, they kind of take all these Western actors speaking their native tongue and throw them into an Asian environment. So I'm not.
Well, I think, yeah, but they're acting naturally, right? It's
Yeah.
kind of like I say, Blade Runner, right? It looks like
Well, Blade Runner doesn't
you know,
look as Asian as this stuff.
well, it has some elements in there, as
yeah,
well, right?
I'm not sure if Blade Runner took things from this because the original Blade Runner came out before Ghost in the Shell, right?
Right.
Yeah, so
But
I think Blade Runner is its own thing. Blade Runner doesn't look Asian, for instance. Whereas this film, you definitely know that the setting, is really, Japanese.
right, but I think the setting matters less than people not acting natural.
Well, there's still kind of an odd, weird mix though. Like Western actors wearing Asian outfits and being in an Asian environment. There's this side, and then there's the Great Wall side where you're seeing Asian actors trying to speak English. There's still kind of an odd, weird mix that it doesn't,
Okay.
Entirely mesh to me.
Right. Okay. All right. I acknowledge that. I will not acknowledge that. But I think the bigger problem really for this movie is that it is too familiar.
Yeah.
Because the themes has been grabbed by
The Matrix.
the
They
other movies.
didn't really, even in the trailers, they mostly just try to sell Scarlett Johansson in an action movie instead of selling the major concept. Because we've already all seen The Matrix and it's super popular and everybody already know it. So that's not a selling point anymore. The idea of reality and artificial intelligence and living in a world within a world type of thing.
All right, but then again, like I said,
You're going 60. I'm going 25 to 30. So we'll see which
right. Oh, okay.
which side it lands on.
Okay, and I say this controversy can only help it, mainly because it generated news for this movie, and the news is not the type where like dogs are being mistreated, for example, or
I don't know this. Well, this one is more like Asian American actors are being mistreated because here's
of course,
a
I mean
movie that's kind of
they're
like
gonna.
well, here's a movie where they can finally get some roles and then they couldn't.
They're gonna throw a sting, right? I mean, it's sort of like protectionism for them. I mean, it's just like that. Sam Jackson saying British actors shouldn't be playing roles. British black actors shouldn't be playing American roles. Whatever. It's
Wait,
like,
did he say
of
that?
course they're gonna try to. I think so.
I don't know.
If not Sam Jackson, it's some other guy. All right. So there's that thing too. I mean, they're trying to protect their own livelihood.
Well, anyway, let's move on to the Boss Baby.
Okay, The Boss Baby is the new animation by DreamWorks. They signed a new distribution deal with Fox.
Yeah, and the reviews aren't looking good.
No, I think this might be the lowest reviewed DreamWorks movie.
One of the lowest. Yeah, could be. Yeah, 29% so far. there are only 17 reviews, so it's not looking good.
Has it dropped to wait, what's the reviews right now?
17
Boss Baby.
reviews, 29%.
Oh, 29.
Yeah,
Oh,
29%.
I look half an hour ago. It was at 33%. Now it dropped down to 29%. Wow.
Yeah.
So it is. I think it is the worst reviewed DreamWorks movie out there. And this movie is, I guess, about a baby who's really an adult. He's going undercover to do some research, I believe, with a family. And there's this boy.
Yeah, and what is he though? Is he? I forgot from the trailer.
I think he's the CEO of this company that probably make baby products or something.
And how did he get trapped somehow into this baby's body, or is that just him?
I think that's just him.
All right, we'll see. Which just shows you how much research we do for these podcasts.
Right. Like Donald Trump, I'm gonna blame it on other people. I'm gonna blame it on DreamWorks. I'm gonna blame it on Fox. They didn't make clear in the trailers.
They didn't make it clear in the trailer. Yeah,
it's their fault.
Yeah, it's their fault. Right. Well, plus we have alternative facts too.
Right. And the alternative facts is, maybe not alternative. It's the worst reviewed DreamWorks movie.
Right.
And kind of unlike the previous DreamWorks movie, it looks kind of normal. The animation style, right? They're more round. As I said, they should be going toward round, not angular. And some of the reviews say they're trying to be Pixar with this movie.
Right. I'm not gonna comment on the rounder thing. I actually like them trying to do a different look. So not all these animations look the same.
It doesn't need to be round, but it doesn't have to be so angular.
Like I like the character designs for the Madagascar movies. I thought those were their. I thought that was the high point of the Madagascar movies because the character designs were so they look very different from Pixar or any other studio. But anyway, the Boss Baby. Yeah, DreamWorks. Ever since they moved to Fox, their films as distributors, for some reason, their films haven't done as well as their previous films. And although their last one did decent, right?
Home did very well, but I'm not sure if that's their most recent one.
Home did around 180 million domestic, which is pretty good for them because their previous two, I think Turbo only did like 75 million or something. The Penguin.
Oh, Trolls was the latest one.
Oh, Trolls. Okay, Trolls did decent.
But Trolls is based on a toy.
Yeah.
Right? Boss Baby is new, right?
I'll go with 40 million because my kids, ever since they saw the trailer, they've been bugging me to see this. I'll go with 40.
And you might be right. The reviews, I mean, when it comes to kids, right, it's kind of review proof. And, despite the 29% right now on Rotten Tomatoes, I see this as kind of a really okay movie for kids. I don't see anything that I say, that looks like a bad movie.
Yeah, it could be objectionable. I mean, it might not be one of those films that will be, leggy and stay in theaters for a long time. But, hey, DreamWorks... their films, usually do when they make a decent one, usually open in the 25 to 50 million range. So 40 would be somewhere in the higher end of their recent films. And I'm basing this just on my kids' reaction and how much they've been nagging me to see it.
And that's their target audience as well. So because I painted myself in the corner by Ghost in the Shell will do 60. I'm going to have to drop the Boss Baby a bit lower to maybe 35.
All right.
My feeling is that I could go lower, but then again, even the worst reviewed DreamWorks titles usually open pretty well.
Yeah.
Shark Tale's 35%, but that one did, despite the reviews, did pretty well.
Oh, that one had Will Smith and a bunch of big name actors.
Yeah, sure. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, and they got some, Alec Baldwin in this one. But I'm saying reviews does not tell everything about a movie, especially when it comes to established animation studios, like DreamWorks.
Yeah.
Or DreamWorks Animation.
I mean, when the reviews are glowing, it's gonna open more. But hey, at the same time, good reviews will help a film. And then of course sometimes people will go watch a movie because that's what they expected and that's what they want to see.
Right. But what's I think is I guess confusing me is that in their promos, right? I don't all I see is like, oh, Fox, the logo, right, and then DreamWorks Animation, the logo, but they didn't have to, normally they pepper all these things where it's like from the makers of Shrek,
Right.
or Kung Fu Panda, they didn't do that with Boss Baby.
Well, that's the problem with DreamWorks is they haven't had that many big, massive hits in recent years. I mean, even Trolls is kind of a decent hit, but not in the same level as Shrek, or even the Madagascar films, or even How to Train Your Dragon. And those films, are a long time ago.
Yeah, but it's marketing 101, right? You do whatever you can to link up with the other movies that did well.
Yeah.
Draw in on that nostalgia, draw in on the emotions. But seems like they didn't do it with this movie.
Yeah, they're probably waiting for like one of their bigger, because even Trolls, I mean it did about 150 million. I think Home did like about 180 million. Even those, when you compare it to the new, Pixar or Disney animation or Illumination, it's kind of on the lower end of what their films usually do. And nowadays, when you mention from the makers of Troll or from the makers of Home, people are like, what? It's not in the same level of Shrek. So maybe that's why they don't say it.
Yeah, but it's a known quantity, right? It's a known product. If they like Trolls, for example, if they like Home, another one from those same people I'm gonna watch, right? But yeah, whatever. I don't know. They didn't do it with
this
one.
Right. All right.
Okay, so we're total crapshoots this week, right, Sen? We're not that certain for Ghost in the Shell and kind of iffy on the Boss Baby as well. We're just going by historical records with the Boss Baby.
Yeah.
35 million, 40, and then Ghost in the Shell.
You're thinking it's gonna open huge, and I'm thinking it's gonna do kind of like, what was my figure?
25 to 30.
Okay. So you're high on it.
Yeah, I'm high on it mainly because I'm going with the higher upper limit of this movie, right? But my only concern is like the themes for this movie has already been taken by the previous movie. That's what I'm concerned about. People might think, okay, another movie about this, right? And I'm betting really on the star power of Scarlett Johansson.
Right. And her bodysuit.
The bodysuit. You don't even need Scarlett Johansson. That bodysuit does it. That's the special effects for this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Add 50 million to this movie.
We'll see.
Okay, all right. So Ghost in the Shell. We'll come back and see if there's anything left over for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It was so new back then, but its themes got commandeered by more well-known movies. And the Boss Baby, DreamWorks will continue its slide, I think.
Yeah.
The company DreamWorks Animation. Now, I'm not DreamWorks and DreamWorks Animation are two different companies, but I keep on saying DreamWorks.
Yeah.
But the company was in trouble financially. I think it got sold, right? Or to some other. Katzenberg's out. But we won't see the result. I mean, these movies take years in the making, right? I mean, this so this might be still under his watch. This movie,
right.
So we won't see the new regime and the new direction until a couple years later.
Yeah.
All right.
So we'll see.
Tune in next week.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next week. See how big Ghost in the Shell is, or not.